Welcome back to the branding experience. We are now in week 10, or if we are quad semester, we are still in week 5. All right, so today is not going to be too lengthy. We're going to look at a few things. We're going to look at resumes. We are going to look at um, uh, good versus bad. I got a couple of examples. I got 2 bad ones and 1 good one. And we're going to watch a personal branding video, and then we'll wrap up the homework. So it's nothing too heavy today. So let's pull it. Also, take notes if you guys have a resume. Maybe you want to grab it, and you can kind of compare it as we go. But it's always a good idea, and we'll talk about it as well, to have someone else look through your resume, multiple people, not just one person. But anyways, let's get right into it. So let's look at resume number 1, which is bad. That's the Michael Jackson video, Bad. If you don't recognize it, highly recommend it. It's an iconic video. So let's do that now. Resume number 1. Let's drag it over. Okay. I'm just gonna make it big enough so everyone can see it. Just slide it out of the way. There we go. All right. So let's look at this resume. Anything that kind of stands out that may be bad, that you may not like? So, I mean, if we look at right away, should be allowed me to write over this. I'm actually going to change the color so you can see it. Let's use red because it's mistakes. So my name, if you're looking at font size, is relatively small in the grand scheme of things. Your objective, I think this is always left up for a question mark. What is the objective? I think this should be maybe put up in the resume, in the cover letter portion. I think everyone knows what your objective is. Your objective is obviously to get a job. So if I have, and I'm an employer, and I have tons of resumes, and by tons I mean there could be literally hundreds, which I've had in the past. I don't need to read this. I know what your job, what you want. You want a job with my company, but I really want to get right into what skills you might have. So I would probably start off by having this up at the top. From a layout standpoint, I mean, you got objective, and it's kind of hidden over, and then you got over here, you got summary of skills. You have all caps versus here, where we have upper and lower case. What else? Let's have a look. And let's look at these skills. Proven to motivate others. What does that mean, right? So we need to be a little bit more specific, I think, when we're looking at resumes. Sorry, I'm just going to see why I can't roll it up. Let me roll it now. There we go. Let's look at some of the other terminology. Physically and mentally strong. So again, this is why it's crucial when we're talking about knowing your target market. If you were working in a say IT department, does this skill set have anything to do with the job that you're applying for, right? Because when I'm reading stuff like this, I'm like, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter because it's an independent job. Outstanding recruiting doesn't matter if I'm not. So it depends on what the job is, and you want to cater your resume to that position. Absolutely, right? And what's keen, which is interesting, is the ability, if you're looking for an entry-level job, the ability to motivate others. If we're going to kind of use that as a skill, even though it's worded a little wrong, it probably wouldn't be the role that you generally just starting out would have. And the very last one, great work ethic and drive, always to do my best. I wouldn't use do my best. I mean, that's assuming, but great work ethic, that should be number 1. That's the very first thing I want to see, right? Courteous, this would be better. reliable, dependable. So all these ones that are down near the bottom should all be near the top. Okay. Let's look at the next one, education. Some would argue when the education, so depending on the role that you're applying for, education shouldn't necessarily be the next thing I want to see, right? What do you think the next thing would be? If I want to see your skills right away, what you have to offer, so that's good. That would be the first. And then the second, probably experience would be my next one, unless it's professional. So if you need a certificate in something else, then that may be where it could be. But that could be also put up into your skill set of certain certifications. So you could have that. So right away, I get everything right at the top. Because if you have multiple pages, which is also a bad thing, but we look at, so this is page 1, page 2, page 3. I mean, 2 pages max, folks. We need to keep it tight, right? So I would move that right up to the top. Oops. So we got education. The other thing to point out, when you guys might have noticed, right? The alignment. Oops. The alignment should be here. I don't know why all this is over here, right? And also, from a date perspective, this should be first if we're looking at education. It needs to be in chronological order. So from current to past. Okay. Again, we're talking about alignment here, not matching up. All these hash marks should be probably in line with the bullets here. Let's keep moving down. More employment experience. Again, if we're looking at chronological order, this is kind of, not current. It should be the other way around. Most current to least current. June, the alignment is out of the way, out of space. Again, the years, which was carried over from over here. And again, understanding maybe the company, not just the position, should be in here. So timekeeper for minor hockey. This should be a heading, not a sentence. So this should read timekeeper, and then for what company? Kitchener Minor Hockey. You don't need the for. Okay. This one, house demolition and renovations. Doesn't tell me who the company is or anything like that. And just the terminology, I mean, it's really rough, right? Must be paying attention. I mean, that's an obvious thing, but we're looking at what skills that you applied to the position, right? The first one, if I'm always reading, always show up time. Well, I would hope so, right? So to have that in it is not good. And then he has it here, show up for time twice, which is kind of ironic. Remember, this is here describing what you did in that job, right? What you personally did, not what the job heading is. 40 hours a week, not relevant to me at all. Putting safety, always put safety first, well, I'd hope so. So things that you would normally assume, don't put down there. I mean, tell me what's unique about it. This is where I want to see where your uniqueness stands out, what you have accomplished. Okay. Pick and pack orders with no supervision. Again, maybe that could be worded a little bit different. Obviously, they're trying to say they're trustworthy. They don't need to be babysat. Be trustworthy. To be trustworthy, again, you don't need to have things like that in there. Scrolling down some more. Again, a lot of experience here that could probably be landscaping, construction. Might be able to summarize if you're looking for space. A lot of these construction jobs probably can be piled into a few, say multiple positions if you want, or just eliminate the ones. I mean, the one, really, does this timekeeper for hockey when he was younger? Not really. I mean, it doesn't tie into the relationship. You can just lose this one altogether. Um, if it adds no value to your resume, right? To your brand. And what's interesting is some of these achievements, and this is where I was saying earlier, is that some of these achievements should be put to the top with the skills, right? CPR certified. Maybe it's really important. First aid, that's good. Do I need to have 3 times MVP high school? No. Do I need that? I mean, if you want to summarize that, you could summarize that quite easily, but you could probably do it a little differently where it's not just high school. You could just say very active and made many accomplishments in baseball and Courtiers Award and stuff like that. And high school is not one word. Okay. So again, you guys all know how to use spelling and Grammarly. Highly recommend doing that. This is good. If anything, you don't need to have that. And then volunteer work as well could be moved into here if needed be. But again, the volunteer work should tie in to the position. If it doesn't really have any value, then question, especially if you need space, you want to keep it condensed. I don't know. Kind of decide whether you want to leave it there or not. Okay. Let's pull up another one. Actually, I got the next one. No, still bad. Still bad. Who's bad? So here's another one. What do you guys think of this one? Whoops. Where'd it go? What do you guys think of this one? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, your name kind of small. Is there a lot of information? Don't really need to have the home if you want. One or the other. Pick one, not two. Don't necessarily need your address. Email can be contacted in. But this, I mean, your heading should probably be centered and big and larger. Right? It should be key, stand out. Remember, you're trying to stand out. Objective, there it is again, right out of the gate. Well, we know what you're wanting for. If you want to be specific, this isn't bad, but it's not specific enough, right? It needs to be specific to the position. So if you want to put objective, it's fine, but it needs to be specific. Specific to the company. Don't make it vague. Smaller. Okay. If not, next thing, what's missing? Skills. First and foremost, tell me what you're gonna. Why am I going to hire you, right? To work for my company. Font size here, alignment here, alignment, certificates. It's just there's no consistency within this resume, especially from an alignment standpoint. And then we get into work experience. So better that way starting with present, which is good because we kind of know where they're starting from. Again, the font all over the place. Okay, these should be bullets for doing proper layout design. There's lots of templates out there, folks, at least to get you started, but then to take us to the next level, have somebody professional in the field to have a look at it. I think that's always a good idea. I had actually one student come to me once when I was working in one of my stores and asked me, could you critique their resume, which was really interesting way of approaching, can I have it, looking at having an interview. And it worked really well because it opened up a whole different conversation. I'm very honest. And if anything, it came off as a student who really wants to do good and well for themselves and was looking for some honest feedback. And and we ended up hiring them after we just got a long conversation. It was just a different way of approaching talking to whoever's in charge when you're handing your resume. Please don't just drop your resume off at the secretary or the cash. please ask to speak to a manager and physically hand it to them. FYI, that's always a much better approach. That way you also get a face-to-face. Because you never know. Sometimes the person you're handing to is where you can do, hey, let's do the interview right now. Where the cashiers, where the office administrator may not know what the plan is. Okay, dates, again, all over the place, from here to here. Fonts, you got bold, not bold. Let's look at some of the wording. Site coordinator, create and coordinate, efficient operations. That's good. This is improper. We don't use and, we use proper English. Same with here. If anything, it could be, you always type it out. A sense of fair play. So define that, maybe break that into an actual skill set. Friendly competition, skill building, fitness, and fun into program planning. This needs to be clarified. Not really sure what that means. So it needs to be clear when you're reading it out. And really the best line is right here. Implemented proactive problem solving, conflict mediation, and behavior management skills. That is really good. That should have been up first and foremost. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Rank your staff each day. Orient all campers to camp rules on first day. That what values that have as a skill set tells me what the job description is. I want skill sets and what you've accomplished. Proactively, that's how you spell proactively. Identify, solve problems, areas concern staff, campers, volunteers, contribute to weekly staff meetings, trips, RE, leadership. So this is good. This needs to be clarified. What exactly they're trying to say. Town of Ajax. So it's again similar. Page 2. So there's a little bit breakdown in saying this one's to present. Oops. And then this one, Mississauga Convention Center, is also the present. But again, we're aligned. So this is present. It's question mark. So you can see mine as an employer, and I'm looking through a resume. I'm looking for red flags, right? I kind of care a little bit about what this is, but really what I'm looking for is to see, did you take the time to put your best foot forward into your resume? If you hand in a resume that has one spelling error, especially at the beginning, it goes in the garbage. I need to know that you're putting your best foot forward. If you're not going to put it into yourself, you sure aren't going to do it for me if I decide to hire you. So I'm looking at that. So the fact that even though all this may be accurate, but I'm seeing alignment issues, I'm seeing spelling issues, I'm seeing bolding that's not right, like youth referee. And keep in mind, guys, these are actual resumes that my students have handed in. And it's not any fault of their own. They just didn't know. So that's why we're taking this course, to hopefully you guys can generate some skills to help look at your own resumes and improve them. Okay. Just scroll down some more. Again, font size. I mean, it's killing me, right? How small it is. Spelling errors. Spelling errors. I don't know if kids is a spelling error or not. It may or may not be. It may just be from a marketing standpoint. I mean, you can go through. I'm sure you guys, if we spent all day, we could pick this apart even more. Volunteer experience. Again, with the bold, like I wouldn't even, if I was looking at this resume, I would have been done a long time ago because it's just too much. And now we're on to page 3, and this is like a page 3 to have this. So you're telling me you couldn't fit this anywhere into here? You couldn't adjust the spacing, eliminate a line, so this is in here. So you're handing me 3 pages. Painful, painful, painful. All right, let's look at a good resume. Drag this down a little bit so you can see it better. All right. So right away, we see, oh, the person's name. Boom. I know whose resume it is. The information is all there. A LinkedIn account, fantastic. And they're links, so you can just copy and paste. You don't have to type it in. The spelling errors is just disregard it. It's just because it's to protect the innocent. So all that's good. Nice and clear. Look, summary, right, of your skill set. Boom. So it's I don't have to go through and find it right away. That's really good. And then we get right into the education. So this is where it depends on the job. So depending on whether you want to flip these two is completely up to you. If it requires a degree or a certificate, then maybe that's something that needs to go first. But you notice what is not here, your high school or your elementary school. Does it not need to be in there? And then right away we get into your work experience, and we look right away, it's present, right? It tells you exactly what it is, advisor, time scheduling, got it, right? Then with what company, perfect. And then 3 key effective skills that were, right, develop and facilitate training workshops for leaders and frontline employees, organize cross-hospital projects, effectively collaborated stakeholders on research plan, execute critical path, right? Staffing and scheduling. Some key events right there that really I can make the connection to the job that they're applying for. Let's look at some others. It's a little long-winded with these. Depending on 2018, there's quite a bit. I probably, I mean, it's not. I mean, if it's applicable for sure, but there might be some things that kind of sum it up a little bit that seems a little bit long. So I would just maybe shorten this a bit, because some of these could be condensed in there, because you see the words collaborated. These could be summarized a little bit better to not take away from it, because there are some skills here that need to stay. Again, really nice. Everything is nicely aligned. I'm looking at what the role is right away, what their role is. That's fantastic. Checking in again. Time frames, chronological order, so earliest to latest. Certifications and course. So this is good, right? Nothing in there but what they achieved in high school, awards or anything like that. Stuff that applies to the position itself. The only thing I would take away from this, guys, is I would eliminate this. It's so close, and because the job descriptions are so long here, condense this up a little bit and make it fit to 3 pages, so that this last little bit here would fit on the 3rd page. That would be my only thing. But right away, I know exactly what it is, and this is the killer, right? Because by here, I would have already decided whether I'm going to go forward with that. If these are all checked on the boxes that I'm looking for, check, perfect, then I'll move on. If there's something in here that's a red flag, I'm done. I have 40 other resumes that I'm sure someone in here will check all the boxes. I don't need to be that desperate. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your job, and please make specific resumes to specific companies. Do not just make a generic one. Show the effort, because trust me, as an employer, I know the difference when I see someone has put it in. I've seen too many of them. It's not like you're the special one in the first resume I've ever seen in my life. I can tell when it's a generic one, especially in the wording, but when I see specific to the company that I'm applying for, I'm like, kudos, this person's put in some effort to apply. If you haven't put in the effort, why would I think you'd put the effort into this company if I were to hire you? So anyways, I hope that helps. There are tons of other resumes out there, online, that you can look at, good and bad. Those are just a few that are actual ones that I come across over my years. I mean, I have too many more bad ones than good ones, and generally it's just from lack of people making the effort. I mean, how bad are you looking for a job? Is it for yourself or is it for someone else? Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, let's watch a video, TED Talk video. It's not very long, and it talks about your personal branding and what it's not. I think that's good. Everyone tells you what it should be. Let's talk about what it's not. She does a really good job, and then we'll talk about the homework for the week. All right, here we go.
Good evening. I'm going to talk to you this evening about personal branding. But I think we should probably first start with what personal branding is not. Personal branding is not what you post on Facebook, how you respond on Twitter. That's a whole other conversation. What we're going to talk about tonight is personal branding, the perception that you have of yourself and that others have of you, and when that convenes.
Right.
And we're going to spend some time talking about that because along the way, working with corporate brands, I picked up a tip or two that I want you to think about. I would not be so bold to say that I'm going to give you advice because I know better, but I'll give you a few things to think about. At this point, you have charged full force through elementary school to middle school, from middle school to high school, lots of successes. The fastest, the most academically acclaimed. Now you're readying yourself for the big launch of your brand. And I'm going to tell you the first thing that I want you to do. I'm going to drop the F-bomb on you. Don't worry. I'm going to keep it PG. I want you to fail. I want you to fail so spectacularly. The kind of failure that like punches you in the gut, takes you to your knees, and you wallow around in how horrible it is. Because how you react to that failure will be the sustainability of your personal brand. For were it not for failure, we wouldn't have the Hershey Kiss, my beloved iPhone, nor would we have Walt Disney World.
Think of
Steve
the
Jobs was
dartboard
ousted
scenario.
from his own company.
Remember the dartboards?
Milton Hershey closed down 2 chocolate factories before, well, they were candy companies, before he founded Hershey. And Walt Disney was told countless times that he lacked creativity. But they survived because of how they reacted to failure. You're also going to be told along the way to follow your dreams. I'm going to ask you not to do that. Dreams have limits. Dreams can be walked away from. But if you find something that you feel passionately about, be it your career path, how you volunteer your time, or what you do behind closed doors, if you feel passionately about it, parameters will not exist. You will forge forward when you hit that failure, and your personal brand will be stronger on the other side. Because the final thing I want you to consider when you're launching your personal brand is that it's ubiquitous. As you move to your 20s, your 30s, heaven forbid your 40s, no, that's hard to imagine at this point. Outwardly, you'll look the same. Outwardly, no, you won't. Outwardly, you'll look differently. Inwardly, you'll be the same. And what I want you to consider is the self-awareness that you've gained along the way. Because the true value of your personal brand is when you value yourself and others have valued you, and you're able to take criticism not as a tearing down, but as a point for reflection and to make yourself better. So as you move into the future and you launch your personal brand, I want you to do so passionately. I want you to fail spectacularly. Feel so passionately that you don't care that you failed, and then be self-aware enough to make it better and know the value that you bring to others.
Keep throwing dartboards.
Thank you.
The thing I also want to touch on, which talks about passionate, is I want you, because sometimes that's like a tricky part, right? People say, "Oh, I want to do this," and you're not really sure what you want to do in life, and that's completely okay. And I wouldn't expect anyone at your age to know what you want to do, because even as you go through life, you'll change. So just accept it and move forward. But where do you start? Here's my tip to you. Find or think of something that you would do for absolutely free. Something you would do for free. Something that a job where, I wouldn't mind. I would do that for free because I enjoy doing it. And then start from there and see if that's something that would appeal to you. There's your starting point, right? A lot of people, I don't want to do that because you don't do things in life that make you happy just because of the money that you get paid. So if you're applying for a job just because it pays well, I guarantee you, but there's a good chance you probably are going to end up hating that job because you'll find super, super quick that money doesn't buy happiness. I know it's a big cliche and you've heard it before, but I'm telling you again that absolutely that is not true. Okay, or that is true. Sorry, money does not buy happiness. Okay, your own personal satisfaction is what does it. So think of something that you would do for free and still maintain a living. So everything else is fine. All the accessories, all the stuff, and everything's all fine. But something that you would do for free, providing you didn't have to pay for stuff. And then start from there and see if there's an opportunity there. Because then you'll be truly happy. All right? Okay, let's look at the homework. So, review week 10 checklist. Quad semester, we're in week 5. And then complete assignment number 7, video assignment. And then you'll be good to go. And the next video should be coming up next for week 11. So stay safe, guys, and we'll see you next video. Take care.